Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Episode 32 of the Drunken Under Quarantine Show, presented to you by the Woolen Comedy Club. Tonight, it's just us boys. GW Foley and Collen Doyle will be here with me. We're going to break down some topics. We're going to play a little game at the end. And we're going to work off these turkey hangovers that we're still working on. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Time's Up Foundation and how they managed to not use their money for what they should have. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court ruling against Cuomo and his lockdowns. We're going to talk about a restaurant bar in New York City that has now officially declared themselves an autonomous zone so they can operate outside of the COVID restrictions, which makes you wonder, why hasn't anybody done that? We're going to talk about the ridiculous amount of money that Ohio State is spending just to let people know, hey, treat everybody equally. And finally, we're going to play a fun game with some 90s lyrics. But without further ado, welcoming my good friend of the Spotlight stage, Collen, thanks for joining us.
Good evening, gentlemen. It is great to have boys' time with you this week. This is my favorite time of the week here, broadcasting from home. This is my house because you got Ben and Jerry's ice cream sitting on my table there. I have to say, what episode are we on? 32?
32.
32. Here's to that. There was recently a comedy special produced called Small State, Big Laughs. And I have to say, I'm very impressed with what they were able to do with $100,000 from the Department of Tourism. It's a 1 hour and 15-minute comedy special, shot potentially 2K. So I have to say, very proud of our comedy special. If you haven't seen it, the Phony Phonathon that we did with Artistry, Kyle does an amazing disappearing act, and we did it for $100,000 less than the other comedy special. So that was cool. 4K. I just want to basically start tonight by saying we failed. Let's just go ahead, step out there and say it now. I always thought Christmas meant more to people than Thanksgiving, but apparently it doesn't, because 6.5 million people traveled for Thanksgiving, and I don't think we can do both. I don't think we can do the 6 million and then another 6 million. It's strange to me because all I've ever heard, seemingly my entire life, from people is that they hate going home for the holidays. I personally like my family and enjoy spending time with them, but I feel like that's pretty unique. Like, I feel like pretty much most of the people I know get actually stressed out about seeing their family. And there's a lot of holiday anxiety in this country because people have to go and they have to sit in front of their family questions them, what are you doing with your life? You wasted potential you. And that makes people sad. So this year, people were given the option to just sit on their couch and basically just Zoom in and be like, hey, mom, hey, dad, hey, aunts, hey, uncles, I'm a failure. Let's do this. We only got like 5 minutes. I'm in the middle of a Mandalorian binge. And, I failed you all. I'm sorry. Sincerely, not your doctor nephew. People didn't want it. Glutton for punishment. We got on the planes, riddled with COVID, and flew all over the country. And now, in about 2 weeks, I'm assuming we're probably going to see the largest explosion of COVID probably anywhere in the world. Happy Thanksgiving. I think it's really funny this year. I've noticed a pattern in particular that there seems to be one question that is the most important question you get asked when you do anything official. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but I didn't get my census form in right away. The person from census showed up, asked me some questions, not many questions, but probably the first question was, are you of Mexican or Latin descent? And I'm like, that's a bold like showing your card. Like, we're just up here. We're not doing anything. We're just doing a little census work. could be asking anything, looking into anything. Are you Mexican? Like, and so I'm like, that's a little strange, you know? And then you go to like register to vote. And it's like, okay, all right. You want to vote? That's not a problem. Anybody can vote. Anybody can vote. Are you of Mexican or Latin descent by any chance? Like this, why does that matter? Why does that matter? So on Monday, I went to get a COVID test, right? And I go in to get my COVID test, and there's literally virtually no questions they ask you at all. They ask for your name, your birthday, like where you live. And then the person looks at me and goes, and great, you're all set. And are you of Mexican or Latin descent by any chance at all? I'm like, on the COVID test? Like, really? Like, really on the COVID test? Like, whatever they're gathering or whatever information we're looking for of people of Latin descent, we've got a lot of it, you know? And I think it's fairly American too, for people to want to remain anonymous. We have a constitutional right to remain anonymous from the government. There was a time in this country where party allegiance, no one really expected to know what your party allegiance was, unless you chose to be in the public eye or a politician or something of that effect. But now today it's become very much that everybody knows, of course, Facebook and everyone, these larger companies now know our political thing. But what's interesting is like the census, Vermont was actually the lowest participant of census in the country this year. And what's funny is that in Vermont, every single year, or every time they do the census, the Native American population in Vermont increases. And the reason is it's not that it's actually increasing, it's that people feel more comfortable saying that they're Native American than they used to, you know? And it's funny because when we talk about inequality in America and we talk about wealth distribution, you'll hear numbers like, 75% of all the wealth in the country are held by white Americans. And then they'll say, 20% is held by Mexican or of Latin descent. And then they'll say 5% is held by Black families. But you know who they never even mentioned the entire time we were talking about the distribution of wealth? The indigenous of this country. They're like, oh yeah, they're not even on the scale. We're looking at major contenders here, It's like, I completely support Black Lives Matter. If we ever had anything that talked to the point of indigenous lives mattering in this country, would really be great, because they have been the most robbed of any group of people in this country. And when we look at the people talk about the government having control and things like that, people get, scared about that. You think, what's the worst thing someone could do? Take away maybe my ability to have children. It's the government does that, very dystopian nightmare. And you think, I hope that never happens. But the funny thing is that happened to Native American boys in Vermont until 1972. So that's why when the census guy knocked on your door and said, are you Native American? People usually said no. And now they're feeling a little bit more comfortable. I don't know if I would feel comfortable of all the questions about the Latin descent, And, come on, Facebook, you should know this already. Why do I have to explain this every time I go to get a test, It's funny because it looked like Pfizer had this whole thing figured out. They thought they had a cure for COVID. Turns out it might not work as well as they thought. It has to be stored at negative hundreds degrees or some crazy thing. And it was funny because like when I first heard that, I was like, really? Like from the guys who cured the hard-on? You know what I mean? Like now they're gonna solve the world's issue, It's like if Pfizer, actually had the cure for COVID, I can only imagine how that board meeting would sound. Guy comes in, he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've done it. We cured COVID, and all I got to say is, if you think a boner was expensive, well, wait till you see what the cure for COVID is." But that's pretty much my weekend reflection. G-Dub, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was lonely and sad. Like I mean, I was with my family, which, is always depressing. So, and we went to Denny's, which nothing says Thanksgiving love like Thanksgiving at Denny's. My mother-in-law was stared at by some creepy guy in a booth. They got our orders wrong, and I over tipped the waitress. But then, like, when I did it, I was like, I can't untip this. Like, I felt bad. Like, not for her. Like, she got a hell of a tip. Like, she got like a 40% tip, and I'm like, fuck me. That's gonna hurt later. That's not a good use of my money. So as you can see, I'm almost clean shaven. This side looks a lot more horrendous than this side, so I'm just gonna be like this for the rest of the show. My shit was getting too bushy, and I'm too cheap to actually go to the barber. So I was like, I can do this. I'm a man. I've trimmed my own pubes before. It can't be that hard. It is. It really is. Like, my jawline is here, like right here, and then like I shaved up to here. Like, who does that? I do, apparently. And then like there's like these patchy spots right around here where it looks like I have mange. So yeah, that I feel like a hot mess. Like, the only like saving grace of COVID right now is whenever I go out, I have to wear a mask so no one can see my shit. that was the only saving grace for today. I went to the grocery store, and it's fucking. I don't understand why we have traffic lights in grocery stores, like the little like traffic arrows saying you can enter this way and not enter that way. Like, I don't understand that. Like, worst comes worst, it's like anal sex with a woman. Like, oh no, you can go in this hole, but you can't go out this way. I want to enter that back hole. Lost my train of thought. I had a shitty week, guys. I'm gonna admit it. Like, I was pretty down in the dumps all week. I couldn't even explain why. Like, things are going good. I'm fully passing all my classes so far. I'm doing great, and all of a sudden, like, I get this feeling of like I'm sad, and I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I wish I could. Like, I wish I could understand like the chemical need in my head to go, hey, buddy, you're lacking this chemical X that you need. You should pump that up before you get too sad and start moping around like an emo kid from the 90s and 2000s. That didn't work as well as I thought it was going to. That's all right. That's fine. I called my mother for Thanksgiving, which was I love my mom. Don't get me wrong. Like, my mom is a saint. She has been through so much in her life, and it's the least I can do to call her. And I play this game where what's the quickest time I can get off the phone with her? And this Thanksgiving I won. It was a minute and a half. It was literally, hey mom, happy Thanksgiving. Talk to you later. Bye. Click. It's like, yes, I'm champion. I think everyone should have that type of relationship with their mom, or at least with people on the phone. Like, just make a game out of how quick you can get off the phone with somebody. And then they always bring up some story about their gout, and it's like, I don't need to know this. Anyways, So that's it. That's my time. The ramblings of a drunk madman, right here. Let me pass it over to Hickory.
Now the ramblings of a drunk magician. Glad to have you guys here. We're going to do a cool little card thing, and we'll do one with each of you. We're just going to take a standard deck of red bicycles because they're cost efficient is the reason we use these cards. And we're going to start by what I've done is I took a prediction. I'm going to stick it down in this envelope. And that way the envelope stays in view. And I'm going to riffle through. Colin, I'm going to have you select a card. And then I'm going to place it in this envelope and we'll move on to the second part. Here, just say stop whenever you're...
Stop.
There. Okay. Let's make sure we took the jokers off. Okay. Next, G-Dubs, I'm going to have you do the exact same thing here, sir. I'm going to riffle through and you're going to say stop whenever you'd like.
Stop.
That was good. Go one more, one less.
That's good.
Okay. So you got the Jack of Clubs. You're happy with the selection?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is you're going to give me a name to sign on the card.
Oscar.
Awesome. So that you guys can all see that. That's fairly clear.
I got to get you some metallic markers.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Oscar's sign card. Stick it right there so it's in plain view and I can't mess with it. I'll stick another one right there to hold this one. Oh, that almost worked perfect. And I'm going to take the next card down because honestly, my selection doesn't matter. So I have a 9 of diamonds. And I'm going to sign this. It's be a great time to have some music to, not make that part boring. As you guys can see, we are signed up. Hickory the Drunken Underwhelming on there. And what we're going to do is we're going to take my card. We're going to set that right there. Okay, so now we've got an envelope with a prediction with the card that Colin picked. We've got GW sign card here and my sign card here. First, I will pull Colin's prediction out. Kind of like, I got one. I got the 2 cards, a blue prediction and a red card that Colin picked from the deck. And my prediction that Colin was going to pick a set of spades. And the card that Colin chose was in fact the 7 of spades. So, okay, I got the first part. We're good there. Next, GW, you selected a card. Colin, you saw that, right?
Yes.
Okay. GW selected a card. We signed it, folded it, and stuck it here. And then I selected a card, signed it, and stuck it there.
Huh.
So that was supposed to be GW's card. Of course, it's not going to stay so nice.
Oh.
And Oscar's card. Thank you. I didn't know if that was going to work like that. But anyways, that's it for me. And back over to the group. Oh, thank you guys for being here. Another wonderful week. I hope you guys have gotten plenty of rest. It was a long, stressful week for me. I'm sure it was for many, many people across the country. An interesting Thanksgiving, that's for sure. Not the one that we're accustomed to, but nothing in 2020 has been what we've been accustomed to. And I just want to say, I think Pfizer, Colin, I agree that they should change their slogan to "We cured the hard-on." I think that would be a phenomenal piece of marketing that they should really look into. And then they should probably sponsor a show because
hey, Pfizer, if you're hearing us, we're looking for 10%, and we, I'm telling you, between the three of us, it might not look it, but these three brains could get clicking. We could have a big campaign, something like this. We rid the world of flaccid penises. You don't think we can deal with COVID? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the Hickory, the Drunken Under Quarantine show campaign of we want a beer in every hand and a hard dick in every other.
I can see it now. We start filming a whole bunch of down train crossing guards and just shoot up as they go up. Be like, Pfizer.
Some really dramatic music in the background.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
They all laughed at us. They said, there's no way you could cure erectile dysfunction. But you know what? We did.
Even if we didn't need to, really.
Yeah.
It was one of the first grand medical cures we came up with.
We got a long way to go before we get cancer. But I'll tell you right now, erectile dysfunction.
Fuck MS.
Yeah, we got Ice Bucket Challenge.
It's the ice bucket with a hard-on challenge. That's a whole new...
Yeah. Ooh. Well,
is he going to maintain it?
No shrinkage.
I love it too, because it was like, what was the crisis? It was like, I'm 90 and I can't get it up. Yeah, and it's like, all right, we're on it.
So moving on right along to our first subject, we're going to talk real quick. The Me Too movement was very popular for the past couple of years. Has a lot of Hollywood support. A lot of ladies out there supporting Hollywood Me Too movement, and they have a fundraising campaign called the Time Is Now fundraiser. And it just came out this past week that they raised like $4 million in, I think it was 2018 or 2019. And they have spent effectively only 300,000 of it actually helping people. They spent $1.4 million on salaries. And they even managed to spend $157,000 on conferences at luxury resorts. I figured I'd mention it to you guys and see what you thought. That's been my personal thought for a while, that a lot of these charities going on are not really doing much. And my personal thought's always been that if people out there feel like they have the means to donate, they should be donating to local charities who work on a small local basis, mostly food shelves and stuff like that, or donating directly to people who have their GoFundMe going on or whatever. But I figured I'd bring it up to you guys and see what you guys thought about the fact that it turns out that a lot of these charities are not spending any money on charity.
Well, I would say, just doing the math really quickly, I think that probably adds up. $4 million gets you about $300,000 worth of sound legal advice. Where did the other $3.7 million go? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. That's how these things work, I completely agree with you, Hickory. I think that the problem is when you scale these charities up so large that a lot of the money never gets to the place that it's supposed to get to. There's a simple structure of that is look at the Girl Scout cookies. Look at what a box of Girl Scout cookies sells for, look at what is the percentage that the girls get, and then look at what the CEO and executive board compensation to that organization is. It's in the tens of millions annually. So people, I have no problem with people making money, but the problem is people give and they expect the money that they're giving to go farther than it is. And if you're giving $100, maybe only 2 or 3 of those dollars actually ever see their way to the actual thing that you're trying to give your money to. So try to find a more direct way to it. My question is it the time is now or is it time's up?
It's called the Time's Up organization.
Time's up. Sounds like they should change their name to the Money's Up. And
the salaries are up.
Salaries are up. And what's funny is it's actually kind of a perfect business name for it. And then be like, all right, we're gonna do that thing now, right? And it's like, no, actually, time's up. It's like, what do you mean time's up? I'm like, oh, that $4 million we had, yeah, that's gone now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you see the new Gator shoes our attorney got, but yeah.
The only thing I can think of is $4 million to say Louis C.K. is a creep. Like, I think that's a little excessive.
I think every comedy special did said that for him.
Yeah, it's crazy to see that amount of money just poof gone. Sorry guys, it's we're trying to help, and it really makes me think that a lot of nonprofits are like this, and people always seem to think that nonprofits are good organizations because they are nonprofit. They're not looking to make a profit, where what a nonprofit actually means is that they can't make a profit. So, which is why you see these schools be like, oh shit, taxes, we got to do our taxes in a month. It looks like we need to build a new stadium, guys. Yeah, our football team's been doing awful and they're not selling any tickets and they're not really getting anybody in the stands, but we're going to need a new stadium that's at least 3 times the size of the one we had. Why? Because we're non-for-profit and we can't have a profit, but we can have a new $10 million football stadium.
I'm looking at you, the NFL organization.
So I think it's time that we start the Drunken Under Quarantine show nonprofit, where we're really going to help the small guy. I tell you, we're here for you, little man. You just send over your cash monies and we'll put them to good use.
Aren't we the small guys?
Well, yeah, but if we get enough money from them, we won't be the small guys anymore.
True. Ponzi scheme.
That's right. We just write ourselves in for 6 salaries, and I don't know. Maybe you'll get a better show out of it, and maybe we'll just keep doing the same thing and have more money.
Let's start with $100,000 from Vermont tourism and see what we can do with that.
Next up, we were going to talk about Collen's other hometown, New York City, and the Supreme Court just ruled against Andrew Cuomo, stating that he cannot target different religions differently, and that apparently we have this thing called the First Amendment. I don't know if you guys have heard about this.
What?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. This new thing I'm just hearing about. And apparently there's 20 other amendments too, and even more. It's baffling to me that we're a country that works on laws, but yeah, apparently there's this thing called the First Amendment that gives people the right to protest, assemble, the freedom of speech, the freedom of movement, the ability to gather for religious semblances. And the evil, awful Supreme Court just reminded Andrew Cuomo that he's not allowed to cancel religious gatherings.
So Christmas is on.
I guess, yeah. I guess CNN was wrong and Christmas hasn't been canceled.
Yay, it's like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, we're pulling out in the fourth quarter. G-Dubs, what do you think about this troubling First Amendment thing? You think?
I think we should get rid of that in the first 10. Fuck it, we don't need them. I think it's okay to quarter troops in my home.
And Collen's wandering around somewhere. Colin, what'd you think? You think this pesky First Amendment's really putting a kibosh on our freedoms?
Well, I would say that all the amendments should be looked at within reason. And I would say that right now, what we're seeing in New York, in my neighborhood, is large religious, you're not allowed to say that an area is comprised of a singular religious denomination. But in my neighborhood, the school buses are written with Hebrew on the side of them.
Yep.
So it's a very Jewish community, and their traditions are wonderful and everything like it, but they're not COVID friendly. And what the problem is we're seeing these gatherings of like, it's not a small amount of people, it's like thousands of people. There's recently one where they take chickens and they put chickens over their heads, and the chicken's deficit, and it's not a clean process. And they're doing this on the streets by the thousands of chickens. And there's health implications to that. So it's a tough line. No one wants to make that. I don't think it's coming from a place really other than public safety and the fact that everyone else, businesses are asked to comply. Theaters are asked to comply. Comedy clubs have been asked to comply. Al Martin had a funny thing, who owns Broadway Comedy Club and Greenwich Village Comedy Club, where we've produced in the past. And they've been closed this entire time. And he had a funny comment where he said, now we're talking about the third lockdown. He goes, I never opened. I've never been opened this entire time. He goes, so now like they're talking about locking down. He's like, I have not been to market one day. In Greenwich Village Comedy Club, Broadway Comedy Club, Stand Up New York did shows in Central Park, but it's been a terrible year for comedy clubs. So I think everyone suffered, and I think that no one has it out for any particular religion, but what is being asked is that they do the same. Churches are treated more like a theater, or treated more as just a public gathering space, and are being asked to comply within that. It's getting shot down because it can be obviously in court looked at as an attack on religion, but I just think that it is coming from a place of public health.
I would agree. That's a great other look at it. There's a couple quotes I wanted to read here. The Babylon Bee published an article, which is the only place I go to for news anymore because they're so on point. They're fake news you can trust. Feel free to sponsor us, Babylon Bee. We love you. So in this Babylon Bee article, the headline is, "In Dangerous Decisions, SCOTUS Rules First Amendment Can Stay." It says, Washington, D.C., in a landmark 5-4 decision led by alleged dogmatic constitutional extremist Amy Coney Barrett, the Supreme Court has decided the First Amendment can stay. This blatantly anti-science decision will kill trillions of people, said a CNN reporter, Dan Pernickel. We here at CNN tried to warn you that Trump's SCOTUS nominees would usher in a dark age of wanton freedom and direct violation of science's wishes. But no one heard our warnings because the airports were closed due to COVID-19, which, a side note, they're just making a joke that nobody watches CNN other than in airports. In her written opinion, which she wrote in 3 minutes without consulting any notes, ACB said, yeah, so the First Amendment includes freedom of religion and assembly. I asked my clerks to see whether there was a, quote, virus clause, unquote, somewhere in there, and they couldn't find any. I'm a Supreme Court justice, and I'm not allowed to remove amendments, so yeah, the First Amendment says, sorry, guys. In his dissenting opinion, Justice Roberts said, someone help me. Decisions are scary. I'm not anti-science. Am I doing this right? Please love me. According to the experts, science is angrily demanding that the First Amendment be done away with completely to protect public health. Democrats are recommending stacking the courts before science gets even angrier. Yeah, that's the Babylon Bee, a great source for satirical news. And we'll use that to segue into our next subject. We're going to talk real quick about a place in New York City who's almost been underwater the entire time since COVID started, and they have declared themselves an autonomous zone, which I personally am a big fan of because it hasn't stopped other people from doing the same thing in other parts where there was no restrictions and everybody was just fine. So this bar is called Max Public House in New York City. And I pulled up an article from ABC News because they're supposedly reliable. And their headline just said, New York bar declares itself autonomous zone to skirt COVID-19 regulations. And they basically just talk about how these guys had their liquor license striped, and they were getting $1,000 fine per day. So they have decided that they will become an autonomous zone, and they will no longer be charging for food and drink. They just ask that people leave a recommended donation. I personally thought this was great, and maybe we reach out to them and ask them to sponsor us as well. Or maybe we could go down and do the show live from their establishment. Who knows? But I want to know what you guys thought. I'm a big fan of finding the tiniest little loopholes and exploiting them greatly. So I said loopholes, not poop holes. G-Dubs, over to you. What do you think about this brazen act of defiance?
I don't think that declaring yourself an autonomous zone is a loophole. Call me crazy. I enjoy the fact that they're getting fined $1,000 a day for this, and hopefully they're making enough to cover it. I want to harken back to our show a couple weeks ago, and didn't this place come up on Gay Bar or Steakhouse?
Oh, it might have actually.
It sounds very familiar.
I'll have to go check my notes.
Now, I just want to basically kind of go back to our point on Time's Up organization. What GW just said about not really knowing if an autonomous zone is a loophole, basically calling it back to that. I'd say that's like probably $1.7 million worth of legal advice.
Yeah.
Something like that. If he has anything else, I'm going to round it up to 1.8. And wonderful job, GW. We'll be in touch soon. And let's try to push this thing a little bit further. I love the idea of the Max Pub House in New York. And I just like to say, too, for those of you watching the show who don't know, I get all of my news and information here at the Hickory, the Drunken Under Quarantine show. So was unaware of what an autonomous zone was until just a few minutes before. I think this is a great thing. I mean, is the Woolen Mill Comedy Club an autonomous zone? Maybe.
Well, it takes apparently the official definition is you need one crappy piece of art and 5 people who haven't showered in 3 days, and you can put together your own.
We've had that for years.
You put together your own autonomous zone.
We have had that for years.
I believe my quick look earlier, we've had 3 or 4 quote autonomous zones created since the beginning of the George Floyd protests back in May. There was one in Seattle. They tried one in New York at the park. There's one in Minneapolis, I believe.
Haven't had one in Bridgewater yet.
I think that's because Bridgewater just is one. We don't really need a sign. We have a lot of shitty artwork and a lot of people who haven't showered in 3 days. So I think we're grandfathered in.
Quit talking about me.
So yeah, it's very interesting. They're in an orange zone. Apparently, it says they're in an area deemed by Cuomo to be a virus risky orange zone after the Staten Island positive testing rate climbed 4.15% last week. Under orange zone restrictions, indoor dining is prohibited and outdoor dining is restricted to tables of 4 customers or fewer. Which I also wanted to bring up. I saw the other day that there's places in New York that now have basically sheds built out on the side of the street that is called outdoor dining, even though they're completely enclosed.
They're completely engulfed in plastic.
Yes. So, which raises the question: is dining indoors is fine as long as indoors isn't part of your original floor space and it's technically outside of the building? Like, how are we making rulings on this stuff?
Right. Well, the speed in which this has all happened. First of all, the city, you're dealing with multiple departments, and all of these departments are changing their stance through this thing almost daily. So what has progressed politically has made very little sense. And people have invested so much in the outdoor dining as far as a airflow, from an airflow point, like you can't have, just in my opinion, just common sense, like you have to have some type of airflow. You have to have like windows, and it has to be open. If we're going by the same logic, you could have an indoor space that has a lot of large windows that could be open. You could be dining, like say something like you look locally at like a Simon Pierce, and you could have those doors open and the heat up. As much as it seems like a loss of heat loss, this is actually what they did during the 1918 pandemic, was they increased the radiator temperature in New York and the steam heat to overheat apartments and buildings so they could open the windows and have fresh air. So we know fresh air is good, and we know not having fresh air is bad. And if an outdoor space does not have fresh air, then it's defeating the purpose of being outside. But there's the complication of heating too. And then if you heat electric, it's thousands of dollars to purchase the electric heaters, very expensive on your utility bill. If you go with propane, now you're dealing with the FDNY. To then have your fire permits, you have to use propane. You're not allowed to store propane. Where do you store the propane? Nobody knows. The city doesn't tell you. So there's so many contradictions on every corner that it's basically the way I look at dining in New York City right now. It's like you're playing a board game and the board game's missing pieces and instructions. So there's really no way to even know how to win the game. And the game's basically, you're looking at the game like, I'm just going to lose because I'm missing pieces and there's no directions,
G-Dubs, what are you thinking?
I think indoor outdoor seating is really stupid, and I just the whole concept, like it's still kind of I don't know. It's been a while since I've been in New York City in November, but I'm assuming it's still warmer than Vermont right now.
Yeah, substantially.
But come December, come January, even having a ramshackle building placed around your outdoor seating is not going to work. It's non-sustainable. Like just and where the fuck are they going to put all the snow if everyone?
These are questions. This kind of reminds me of a meme that went around a while ago where a guy, I can't remember where it was from, and I wish I could remember the details to all the useless shit that I know. But basically, he was told by a town that he couldn't be permitted to put a deck on the front of his house because it's a permanent structure, and they weren't going to issue him the permits. So what the guy did was he bought a large pontoon boat and then proceeded to hang it from the side of his house. So he didn't build a deck. He was just, he mounted a boat on the front of the house for storage.
It's a landlocked pontoon. That ain't a deck.
And this sounds exactly what was going on right now. It's like,
well,
you guys aren't allowed to have people inside, but if, you take this space outside and you enclose it in and heat it, now it's not inside anymore. We are no longer inside your restaurant.
Right. The thing is that I would say to GW's point of like, in December in New York, is it cold? And January is very cold. And February, in my opinion, is almost like the worst month in the city, where it's just, you have the slush and it's kind of cold and dark, and no one really does much in February. But none of this matters if you're French and smoke cigarettes, Sit outside and you're going to dine and you're going to smoke 40, 50 cigarettes. And I've seen it before, and it used to shock me that, a lot of people from Europe that smoke, I think is a draw. Like they're like, it's kind of, that was like the transfer, right? Like people used to be able to smoke in bars and everyone did. And they was like, well, you can't smoke indoors. You got to go outside. And then people were like, fuck it, I'll go smoke outside then. Like everyone suits up and they go smoke outside. I think dining and drinking is kind of a similar thing. It's like, well, you can't do it inside. It's like, shit. Well, you can do it outside. All right, I guess I'm gonna bundle up and go outside and have a steak and drink some red wine. And, so I I think, just everyone be more French and smoke more cigarettes. And I think that's really the solution to this COVID problem.
It sounds good to me.
And I guess that was part of the workaround back when smoking indoors got canceled, right? Like a lot of these restaurants and bars just kind of put up like a little shed on the side of the building with no roof, or like they still had a roof, but it had like, a foot of open space. And they're like, oh, no, this is just a deck with a gate around it.
Right. Well,
The bar I used to work at in New York State, I was a bouncer at. Actually,
It was a classy joint, just for those viewers who don't know.
GW was like Roadhouse, and he was Patrick Swayze,
I was. Call me Dalton. But to get through the indoor smoking ban, he literally built a room inside the bar that had fans and shit that exhausted out, so people didn't have to go outside to smoke. And it was the most disgusting room I have ever been in.
But think about how COVID friendly that is today with those massive fans exhausting.
Negative air pressure room. Which is incredible, because you go to a place like Mohegan Sun and like that place doesn't smell. Like people smoke in there like all day long, and it's just not like they have, I assume they've spent millions of dollars on their air filtration and they've got it down. And
yeah, it's funny because so New York went from you can't smoke indoors to you can smoke outdoors. You still can smoke indoors in Florida up until I believe. So that just shows you. Yeah, I remember I was in Miami one time and I was at the bar and this guy's standing next to me smoking, and I'm kind of looking at him, and then a few minutes go by and then it hits me. I'm like, he's smoking at the bar. And everyone's smoking in here right now. And so Florida still hasn't even banned the indoor smoking thing. You know what I mean? So I would say that just shows where probably Florida is on the bell curve of this COVID outbreak. But in New York, it went from, can't smoke indoors, you have to smoke outdoors. Then they said you're not allowed to smoke, I believe it was 15 or 20 feet from the front, from an entrance to a building. Anybody who spent any time in Manhattan realizes it's pretty hard to go more than 40 feet without an entrance. So it's whatever the numbers were. So that was a very strange thing. So that was even a thing with that. Then no smoking in any public park, Central Park, anything like that. Smoking's banned. And so you look at where the laws are at different places in the country. It's kind of crazy.
The question is, so is there any place you can smoke in New York City anymore? Like I just imagine you have to be 15 or 20 feet away from a front door. You'd have to be on the roof in order to get that far away from the entrance.
I'm trying to think of places. Some places are still kind of designated kind of smoke areas and things like that.
The interstate. That's that's about it.
Exactly. In traffic.
Just good. You shouldn't be paying attention to what you're doing. You should be focused on getting a cigarette in while you're barreling 70 down the interstate. Brings us to our last subject, which we're going to touch on quickly before we get into tonight's game, which I'm excited for. We're just going to talk about Ohio State University. It just came out that they spent $10 million last year on hiring diversity professionals to help teach diversity in their college, which seems like they another one of these things where they spent way too much money when they could have pretty much just said, hey guys, treat everybody equally. Look at that, Ohio State. So you could hire me for $1 million. I will save you 90% of your diversity training, and I'll sit there and just tell you about how people are the same and how you shouldn't treat them differently based on their national origin or sexual orientation or whatever else that people judge each other on that are immutable characteristics. People are fucking stupid.
Well, you're missing it now, because it's not treating them equal. It's treat them differently, so everyone's equal.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's not as simple as being like, hey, this is Bob. we're going to treat Bob like we treat Frank. Shitty. It's Bob now has a learning disability because he was beat as a child. And so now we have to make it easier for Bob. Fuck Frank, because Frank doesn't get anything special because he's a white male.
Well, I mean, I would just like to chime in and say, basically, from what I'm hearing, these are the same consultants that Time's Up using, right? So $10 million gets you one Caucasian to explain diversity to a university, okay? That's how these things work. So it might seem like, wow, they spent so much money to be so much more diverse and do other. No, it's just a guy named Bob who has the job, who just got paid $10 million to go in there and look at diversity. So whether or not they get there, we don't know. He's a very expensive Caucasian who knows a lot about it. So we'll see what happens.
On an unrelated article, I had just seen that famed author Robin DiAngelo, who wrote that piece of garbage book called White Fragility, who basically said that all white people are racist and we should all feel really bad about it, even if you're not, because you're white, so you're racist. She just got called out for speaking at seminars, and she was making 1.7 times the pay of the person of color who was speaking at the same level as she was, which sounded about right, considering America's most famous racist wrote a book about her own racism and is now teaching Black people why white people are racist. I thought that was pretty funny. And what a fucking weird year this has been.
And it's not over yet.
Oh no, tomorrow, turns out tomorrow is December 1st. So we'll be in the 12th chapter of the horrendously poorly written book that is 2020. And I'm hoping there's a good wrap up for this year. That's really.
I mean, how stupid do we all feel who stood there on New Year's Eve 2019 going into 2020 and looked our loved ones in the eyes and went this is going to be the best year ever. This is going to be one hell of a year. It's I don't know if I can ever lie to myself like that again. My God.
Yeah, it was bad. I remember we were at a karaoke party having a blast, enjoying friends, loving it, being like, oh man, I wish I could figure out how to live
close to one another. It was crazy times. It was crazy times.
They were the best of times and they were the worst of times. Yeah. And I don't remember how the rest of that book goes because I'm mildly illiterate. But that segues us right into the final portion of the show. Unless you guys have anything else you want to wrap up before we move into the game.
No, I got to check the scoreboard here. I know I took a loss.
Yeah, so the overall score right now is you guys are 1-1, and then we played a third game, but I'm pretty sure Will won.
Yeah, Will won.
Okay, so we're still 1-1.
This right here, this one's going to take the lead to whoever wins. So
the rubber match.
May the best win man.
The best win man.
Yeah, may the best wingman win. You know what I'm saying?
I got my Red Wings.
So tonight's subject, we're going to go over. This game is going to be, I don't really have a fun name for it, but it's basically 90s songs opening lyrics. So there's going to be some that are real, just, we're going to lob them out there and they're going to be really easy. And some other ones are going to be a little more difficult. But basically, these are the first line to 2 or 3 of a famous 90s hit. And you guys are going to have to guess. And we're going to play it like if you can name the song or the artist, you get a point. If you name both, you get 2. We're going to go through about 10 of them, and then we'll see where we're at and see how you boys stack up. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully this works well. So the first 2 are real lobs. Colin, we'll start with you. The opening lyrics to this song are, "She's into superstitions, black cats and voodoo dolls. I feel a premonition. That girl's gonna make me fall."
Make you take your clothes off and go dancing in the rain. I'm going with Ricky Martin. Living la vida loca.
Oh, 2 points on the board right off the bat.
Woo!
Well done, my friend. Okay, G-Dubs, this one's for you. Here's another softball before we get into the mildly more difficult ones. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Oh, Smash Mouth. Oh my God. Loser? No, it's not called Loser. I can't remember the name of the song, but I know it's Smash Mouth.
Oh, you still get 1 point out of it. That song is called All Star.
Ah,
Hey now, you're an all-star. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. This is actually one of my favorite. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of these are my favorite '90s tunes, but this one for you, Colin. The opening lyrics are, "You say that we've got nothing in common, no common ground to start from, and that we're falling apart."
Got one hand in my pocket and the other one. I'm gonna go with something like, is that Alanis Morissette? And is
Nope,
that
that's actually a completely different song.
God,
can we
damn,
steal?
What was that?
Can we steal?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Is it Breakfast at Tiffany's by Deep Blue Something?
Fuck yeah, it is, GW. Look at you.
Damn.
All right.
We'll say a steal counts as 1 point, and that way that's fair. And then
I'll give it to him. I'll give it to him.
So it's 2 points if you get both, 1 if you get one, and 1 if you steal it from the other person. So G-Dubs, this one's over to you. The line is, "Come and close the curtains, because all we need is candlelight. You and me and a bottle of wine. I'm gonna hold you tonight."
Eagle Eye Cherry. Save Tonight.
Yes, sir. Good call. Colin, this one's for you. This is another one of my favorites from the '90s. Is they made up their minds and they started packing. They left before the sun came up that day.
I have no idea.
They made up their minds and they started packing. They left before the sun came up that day. You know that one, GW?
It's Fastball and The Way.
Correct, sir.
Why the hell's GW looking down screen left over here?
I'm thinking. I'm sorry.
I say no cheating. We're on an honor code system around here.
What is he got? His smartphone down there? Or, Amazon Alexa?
I don't.
Let's see. Here's one that I'll give you a hard one this time, G-Dubs. We got I used to think that I could not go on, and life was nothing but an awful song.
Holy shit, I don't know.
No.
No.
Do you know, Colin?
I'm gonna agree. This is an awful song. I got no idea what it is.
No, it was an awful song. That was "I Believe I Can Fly" by R. Kelly.
Oh man!
Oh, I get the feeling I'm gonna get pissed on now.
Oh my god, I'm missing R. Kelly. That was.
Okay, Colin, this one's for you.
All
Oh, life is bigger. It's bigger than you, and you are not me. The lengths I will go to.
This is OAR Man in the Mirror, or no, shit. No, it's not. It's God, it's Rem.
Okay. Yeah, it is REM.
As REM, and Me in the Corner. Man,
That's a lyric. That is not the name of the song, though.
it's not like Man on the Moon or
No, I think that was another
Monkey
REM
or
song.
something. Is the word monkey in it?
No,
G-Dubs, you know?
it's Losing My Religion.
Okay.
Losing my religion.
Here's one that for you G-Dubs that I wouldn't know, but you might. Yeah, I like it when the girls stop by in the summer. Do you remember? Do you remember when we met that summer?
Is that LFO Summer Girls?
Yes, it is.
Oh!
Oh, well done, my friend. Okay, here we go, Colin. Here's one. This is a fucking 90s classic right here.
Okay.
Load up on guns and bring your friends. It's fun to lose and to pretend.
This Afro Man. Colt 45?
What was that? Sorry?
Afro Man, Colt 45?
No. G-Dubs, you know this one?
Can you say it again?
The quote is load up on guns and bring your friends. It's fun to lose and to pretend.
It's not ringing the bell.
She's overboard and self-assured. Oh, whoa, I know a dirty word. That's Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana.
Ah, wow, I'm horrible.
Here's another
I'm
one.
glad we both didn't get that, G-Dub.
Let's see. I got a couple more here we'll go through. This one for who are we on? G-Dubs? Yeah. I thought I saw a man brought to life. He was warm. He came around like he was dignified. He showed me what it was to cry.
Thought I saw a man brought to life. Natalie Imbruglia, Torn.
Yes, sir. Perfect sky is torn. I'm a lot of faith.
This is how I feel.
Oh yeah.
Holding I'm awake, lying naked on the floor. It's so good.
I had the biggest crush on her.
I hear that. That video, she warmed my heart. If by heart I mean
That's what Pfizer would say.
Colin, this one's for you. We got psychic spies from China trying to steal your mind's elation, and little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen quotations.
Oh.
I'll read that again because that wasn't very clear. It's psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elation, and little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen quotations.
God. Into lyrics, and I have no idea what song that would be from.
You know that one, G-Dubs?
That would be Red Hot Chili Peppers' Californication.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
Okay, G-Dubs. This is another one of my favorites. We'll do like three more. Is hanging around downtown by myself, and I've had so much time to sit and think about myself, and there she was.
Is it me?
What?
Is it me or is it Colin?
Oh no, it might have been Colin. I'm sorry, I lost track there for a sec.
Well, oh no, Colin had the Californication.
Oh,
So
you
it's
took
me.
it. Okay, so yeah.
Okay, so that's Sex and Candy, my Marcy Playground.
Well done, my friend. One of my favorite 90s
It's
tunes.
funny you say that because that's what I was going to say.
Two more. This one for you, Colin. This was a banger back in the day. When I was young, I knew everything. She, a punk who rarely took advice. Now I'm guilt-stricken, sobbing with my head on the floor.
Going with Alanis Morissette.
No, you know that one, G-Dubs?
It's the Verve Pipe with Freshman.
Oh, good Lord. He's too good at this.
He's so good. He's so good.
Okay, G-Dubs, you got one more, even though it's not necessary, but I'm going to pick a fun one. Let's see here. You and me. I can't sing it. That's not. I couldn't help myself though. I wanted it so bad. Okay, so this song starts. A lonely mother gazing out her window, staring at her son that she just can't touch. If at any time he's in a jam, she'll be by his side.
That would be TLC Waterfalls.
Oh, you're too good at this. Okay, so we might go for another couple, but G-Dub's clearly dominated this one.
At this point, this is just proving GW's Rain Man with night.
He's so good. He's so good.
This wasn't a fair game.
No, I'm sorry. We'll try to find fairer games in the future.
Let's
I
do
didn't
movie
realize how
quotes.
lopsided this is going to be.
What we'll do is the next music round's going to be bossa nova and jazz. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna swing the
You
big
guys
one.
want to know the score, or should we keep that secret?
I mean, I'm not sure where we're at. I'm assuming I'm getting my ass handed to me right now.
It's about 18-3 right now.
Okay, that sounds about right.
But Colin, we're gonna do like two more that aren't gonna count, but
Lob one up for me.
I'm gonna sing these. So it's you and me, they come from different worlds. You like to laugh at me when I look at other girls.
I'm going. Is that Eddie Vedder?
No, but I might sound a little like him when I try.
They all sound like Eddie Vedder to me. Damn.
That one was Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Or the artist now known as Darius Rucker with Only Wanna
Be With You.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Do I get 1 point for the song?
And then the last one is for G-Dub. Sorry, I'm just looking to see if I can kind of get on here. How many people change? How many lives are living strange? Where were you when we were getting high? You know that song was?
Down the hall, faster than a cannonball. Where were you when we were getting high? Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide.
Because I'm a Champagne Supernova
by Oasis.
Yes. So far in gameplay, we are guests 1, Colin 1, and GW 2.
And GW says he knows exactly where he was when he was getting high. I gotta say, I always hate to lose, but I always enjoy losing to you, Gina. And I gotta say, 90s music, not my forte. Bossa Nova. I'll see you in the ring.
Okay.
Oh, we'll get there.
You got that one.
Someday we will cure the games and make them fair, much like Pfizer, our great noble sponsor, has cured the heart on, and we'll cure the coof in the future. You guys have anything you want to say before we get on out of here? We're a little over, but that's all right.
Tomorrow's December.
Yeah, tomorrow's December 1st. It's like opening the final chapter of a book you didn't want to read to begin with.
Oh, don't worry. There's going to be sequels.
Welcome to COVID-23.
Episode 167.
And somehow Hickory's managed not to change the fucking name of the show yet. It's incredible. It was like he was a sightseer. It's like he's magic.
I like the fact that after we get 100 episodes, basically roll this thing into syndication, and then we just have episodes where we like, let's take a look at episode 33 when we had so and so on. We're going to
the best part is
special from 2020,
the Drunken Under Quarantine Show Plus, where we just like break down old episodes and like, oh, look at this joke we made back then. This was, oh, we were so kitschy. But anything we want to say before we get on out of here?
Good. Fun night with you guys as usual. Looking forward to seeing you next Monday night, 6 p.m. here at
for Thirsty 33.
33.
Wait, we're not doing the turkey too?
Oh, this would have been Turkey 2.
Yeah.
We could do Turkey 3 next week.
Or
All
we
right.
could do, or we could do Dirty Tree.
Dirty Three.
Dirty Tree.
It's a weed episode.
Yeah. Dirty
Oh,
Tree.
good.
Dirty trees.
I'm doing it in front of the Christmas tree.
Oh yeah. We were actually going to do originally we thought we were going to do like a Christmas themed game, but then the beautiful assistant said it was way too early. And I was like, are you kidding? There's been all the big box stores have had Christmas shit out for like 5 weeks now.
And it's before Christmas. I mean, thanks. What do you call it? The
Yep.
first Christmas, Halloween.
But
One of the joys about being stuck at home is I haven't heard Christmas music this year.
and when you do, for our followers out there, go look up Afro Man's Christmas album, because that is a gem that you cannot unhear. And that guy did a great job. Such classic hits as Smoking Trees and I'm Dreaming of a White Woman. It's it's a wonderful album. His rendition of Frosty the Snowman. If that doesn't make you laugh, this year has knocked the fun right out of you. But please remember, everybody, to follow Collen and the Woolen Mill Comedy Club at Collen D and at Woolen Mill Comedy Club on both Facebook and Instagram. Please remember to follow GW Foley at Foley Kills on Instagram and on Parler, as well as just add him as a friend, and you guys can be friends on Facebook. And as always, you can find me at Hickory TDAU, Facebook, Parler, Instagram, YouTube's, or hickorymagic.com, which after the holidays should be getting some overhauling and some work on. And who knows what we'll do with that. There's all sorts of possibilities that might be coming down the pipeline. But thank you, gentlemen, for joining me as always. It's great to have you guys here.
Bye.
I'm glad you stayed safe during our holiday. And we'll see you guys next week when, you know, the fun factor of Thanksgiving's wore off and everybody's starting to freak the fuck out about Christmas. So we'll see everybody next week. Please remember, everybody out there, to stay safe, stay drunk, stay underwhelming. Most importantly, stay fucking sane. We'll see you next week.
And for you two,